It was a quiet day in the stock market, but it was a wild day in MicroAlgo. Ticker MLGO. It's a $12 stock. George Tsilis and producer Alex found a little gem for us here today. George, what a weird session for this company. First of all, tell me what they do, because it seems techie enough to catch people's attention. Yeah. Is this like the new meme stock? Chinese?
Well, actually, it's not so it's not necessarily something new. If you go back, I believe it was last June, if I'm not mistaken, so less than a year ago, this was a major runner. In fact, it's probably, at least in my recent memory, one of the only stocks I've seen just make this huge magnanimous move. And it came and went so fast, but it was pretty pronounced in terms of the rate of change. So there's a lot of speculation going on here. Let's come clean and talk about that first. But this is a company that's based out of China. It's an IT consulting services company. They basically, in a nutshell, provide what are called central processing algorithm services, intelligent chip services. So they help facilitate accelerated computing and algorithmic optimization to do that. So one of the things they talk about, or they have their business talks about, is essentially helping optimize existing hardware to get more scale out of your computing devices. So if you think about DeepSeek, that is a technology that is able to get more out of less when it comes down to GPU technology. So I think there's sort of a narrative happening behind the scenes with these algorithm-based companies, especially out of China. The other thing is it's small cap. If you look at yesterday, and I'm just going to use the dailies. Obviously, in the intraday or pre-market, it was trading higher. But the daily yesterday, I think the low was around high threes, low fours. And so it made about a 4x move based on the intraday move we saw today at around $16. So going back to yesterday, the market capitalization of the business was around 30 to 40 million. That's just roughly speaking. Low float, it was about 9 million shares in the float. And then there was actually a news catalyst, and it was very subtle, but they did announce a secondary offering. And if you look at the news, they announced a secondary offering, basically a offering of 20 million shares, but the utilization of those shares, $20 million worth of shares, forgive me, not the number of shares, but the utilization of the shares is meaningful because they announced they're actually purchasing back convertible debt. So in essence, what's happening here is that the algorithms, not MicroAlgo, no pun intended, picked up on this. And if you think about the logic here, it makes sense because you're essentially offering 20 million today, or this was yesterday, of course, in lieu of now purchasing shares so you don't dilute in the future. So this is creating essentially the estimation of lower floats in the future. And so once the speculators got on board, we saw herd mentality and herd just pile into the stock and move it to the upside.
All right, so be careful basically is number one if you're trading this, because it's total madness in the shares, the way they're moving around. The other one is that, it's a quantum related business, that is going to fall into the sort of short-term, I don't want to call it a meme stock because I think that term is overused, but it's going to be subject to speculation. So convertible bonds, they issued shares too. So there's a lot of activity happening that's like you're not going to be able to really predict or control. In terms of like business, Cayman Islands exempted business, but then Bloomberg says it's based in China, so I'm a little confused on that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of grayness to it. So let's just put that out there. But if you look at from what I see, the income statement, they have about 83 million in sales. That was last year. But if you go back just a few years, let's say 2021, it was about the same.
Okay.
They're losing about 30 million per annum. That's their cash burn. They do have, now this is declared 65 million in cash on the books. So that's about 2 times the annual cash burn rate. 22 million in debt yesterday. So it looks like to me that they're paying down that debt, assuming that's the convertible debt that they're buying back with the share issuance. But these are keywords that were created yesterday. You put quantum algorithms, in China, low float, low market cap.
I went to their corporate governance page on the website to try and find out more. There's like some broken links. Specifically actually on the audit committee, there's broken links on the website. There's a board diversity matrix that shows you the demographic, the gender of the people who run the business. There's there's not a lot else. I mean, Bloomberg's got the CEO listed and whatnot, but there's it's a little murky. It's definitely a little murky.
It is, but here's the thing: these are, I like, these are fun stocks. You have to be mindful of the risks because, I mean, once these things blow up, and it happened to blow up really off the first 5 minute candle. This is just a strategy you could consider, or you can consider using the opening breakout range. But once it breaks out with that catalyst, and it had a huge volume in the pre-market, it took off, and then there was a follow through today. It sold off early in the day, and then it basically, hit $16, and then it quickly sold off as well. So for what it's worth, it's a speculator's, dream, essentially, kind of stock. But these are fleeting, so you have to be mindful of that. But it doesn't mean, I mean, I've seen crazier things. If you go back and look at the chart, the stock was at, I believe, $500 just going back to June of last year.
Okay. All right, fun eyes, good eyes, fun stock. We'll see what happens.